Hello, hello, hello. And this is unusual because welcome to the TF Williams podcast. It's the evening of the 3rd of March of 2024-25, and I had to go on there because the conversation I had today about President Trump's meeting with President Zelensky of Ukraine, and I was talking to a fellow Marine, no longer on active duty. He's a veteran of Fallujah, a lieutenant at the time, leading a group of hard-charging Marines to take that city during the Second Gulf War. That, if you don't know, that next to Tarawa, that may have been the bloodiest battle in Marine Corps history. Very close to it. The Army had tried to take Fallujah but couldn't, so the Marines took it. We were talking about his experience there and the meeting with Zelensky and Trump and our getting involved over there. And he's of a mind as I am. We're not getting involved. Let's go over some of the history of it. So the Soviets annexed Crimea, where it's a majority Russians. In fact, Ukraine has its own language, but it largely speaks Russian throughout because of how long they were in the Soviet Union. And then part of the Russia after the Soviet Union left. And one of the reasons I voted for President Trump. No more wars. I'm tired of them. American men and women dying off of some foreign land for oil or whatever it may be. Unless it's a definite interest to the United States, we stay out as far as I'm concerned. But let's go back over the history. So Russia annexes Crimea, sends in their groups to fortify their fellow Russians there in Crimea, and then told the U.S. and the rest of Europe that Ukraine going in, becoming part of NATO, was a red line for them. The ambassador in Moscow sent that back. During the Obama administration, sent that back. And during the Trump, that any talk of Ukraine coming into NATO was a red line for Moscow. They communicated that forcefully, and they were told we had no interest in Ukraine coming into NATO. But what does the rest of Europe do, who can't defend themselves when they depend on the United States? They went in and said, "Yeah, we want NATO, we want EU and NATO membership for Ukraine." This was during the Obama administration. So they invade. They were into the Donbass. And this was after the Russians had shot down that airliner. But anyway, they invaded Donbass. And Obama would not send anything but 2 out of the 3 things that are considered the 3 B's of logistics. And the only things he would send was bandages and beans. He wasn't going to send any bullets, no offensive weapons, no weapons of any kind. Then Trump comes into office, and he approves the Javelin missiles and other things for the Ukrainians so they can defend themselves. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought that might have been a good idea. I mean, Russia's not nice people. They are not. Putin is a dictator for all intents and purposes. He is. But that's the Russian people's choice. They get self-determination. Understand that? Let's keep that principle in mind. And so Trump does everything during his first term, trying to help and get our economy going right. Then COVID hits in 2020. Biden comes into office in 2022. In 2021. And immediately he starts talking about him getting NATO membership. Well, guess what? Now you've got they invaded the Donbass. You now which did not happen until after Biden took over. They invaded the Donbass, not while Trump was in office. So I misspoke on that earlier. And he wraps up aid and everything else to them. And as long as they're giving them material we don't need, or just material so they can fight and no risk to Americans, I don't have an issue really with it up until that point, other than when we start to learn that out of $170 billion that he admitted in a television interview we had sent him, he couldn't account for over $100 billion of it. Then I start having a problem with it. Myself, as an American citizen, we sent somebody $170 billion in one of the most corrupt countries in Europe before any of this took place to Zelensky, and they can't account for $100 billion out of 170. No, we didn't send them anything else. No. Especially when they don't appreciate it. And we did, and all that billing we sent for them was not in loans, not in loan guarantees. We gave them that money out of the goodness of our hearts as Americans, as a part of the government. We sent them over that money. Not loans like the Europeans did, but just as grants, gave them money. Materials, war materials. F-16s, helped train their pilots, sent them Strykers, sent them Abrams. And then he came over here and he pulled that crap in front of the media with the president and vice president. Sorry, I don't have an issue with how they responded to him. I don't have an issue with him at all, with him being treated the way he was. It wasn't a bully. We weren't being a bully. We'd provided him everything. He came over home like an ungrateful little crap head who was going to think we just owed him more money. That's how he came across. And President Trump and especially Vice President Vance stood up and told him, "What, you can't be thankful for what we've sent you?" After he went on publicly to thank the Europeans, but it didn't say anything about us who had provided them free money. Nothing where they had to pay us back. I don't think it's unreasonable to look at him and say, "Hey, we'd like American business to have interest, have access to your materials, minerals, the essential minerals that take to live in a high-tech society. We would love to be able to have American business have an access to that, and we would pay you for it, or pay back some of what we've given you, make it an equal trade." No. And then he wants us to send troops over there, and that's a big no. For me, that's a big no. No. There's very few countries in Europe that are stepping up. All of them on the eastern side of Europe, of NATO, have all expanded their military. They know what they face. And as President Trump said a few days ago, Poland don't have a problem with them. Don't have a problem with Lithuania or Estonia or Romania and how they're handling themselves, the Czech Republic. They understand what it is we're fighting, who they're up against over there. And they're taking and making the sacrifices necessary to protect themselves. And we don't mind helping people who are going to step up and take up their own pace. But the Germans, the French, the English, well, they were our allies. And if something happens and they need us, we'd be there. That's the end of that story. We will be there. But it's time you stood up on your own 2 feet and were able to protect yourself. Y'all have large economies. You're not broke nations. You're not coming out of a socialist, this communist system like Poland, Estonia, Lithuania, Romania were doing. That's a totally different set of circumstances they were in, and they're stepping up, but you can't step up because you want to live in this socialist utopia where you undergird everybody and you keep accepting all these migrants who are stabbing people, running people over in your own country, and you won't do anything to protect yourselves? I'm sorry. No. It's time you stepped up. We've been doing it for how long now? We've been underwriting all your defense. How long have we been doing that? Since 1941? time you stepped up and grew up and put on some big boy panties and got going. Stood up for yourself. It's time to grow up. Understand you can't just underwrite everybody. You can't be Mr. Willy Wonka to everybody inside your candy and give out endless chocolate bars. You got to make sacrifices. You got to make choices about how you spend your money and what's important to you. You got to prioritize. Like every citizen within your country has to do with their own household budget. Every American has to do with their own household budget in this time when we're facing economic issues from carryover from Biden and his Green New Deal and the inflation he knew was coming and did it anyway. So now President Trump's got to look out for that and prepare for that eventuality here and dealing with what's coming. And you free-rode enough on tariffs where you want to charge us a massive tariff to bring our cars into your country. But no, you want to not have anything to bring your cars over here. Sorry, buddy. No more. You are a grown-up country. It's time for you to act like it. Compete on your own. We'll be allies. We don't have a problem with stepping up and helping you and defending you if you need that kind of a help. As long as you're showing that you're doing the things necessary to protect yourself too. But you haven't shown that. You haven't lived up to it. You're not showing it now. And you want to restrict free speech and stuff. Those are not values as an American I can get around. I'm sorry, Vice President Vance, when he spoke at the Munich Security Conference, told you the truth. You didn't like it, but it was the truth. Truth hurts sometimes, but it will set you free, and your people would be freer if you just let them be who they're supposed to be. Let them innovate. Let them talk things out. Maybe you don't like what they say, but talk it out. That's the only way you work through things. You know, you were wrong about face masks. You were wrong about social distancing. You were wrong about the COVID vaccine. You were wrong about the origins of COVID. You were wrong. But you want to suppress everybody else who thought differently than you. Should have never locked everybody down. And you were wrong. I'm sorry. But over here, we get to tell our politicians exactly what we think of them in any way we want to. As long as we're not inciting violence. If you're an idiot, you're an idiot. If you do something stupid, it's stupid, period. And I'm not going to buy into anyone's delusion about who they and what they are. If you've got male gene tell you, you're male. Just go ahead and tell you. If you're female, you're female. I'm not going to lie to you and let you live in. Now, if you want to be crazy and think about something else, go ahead. That's your choice. You have every right to, but don't expect me to participate in your delusion. I'm not going to. I have to deal with reality every day, and that's just how that goes. Reality is reality. You can live in your fairy tale world all you want, but I'm not going to. And the fact is, it's time y'all stepped up. And don't look at us as if we're doing something wrong. We're protecting. President Trump is the President of the United States of America. Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister of Great Britain. Schultz, I don't know what they call him over there, the Prime Minister of Germany. President Macron, he's the President of France. Start preparing your own countries and leading them as you're supposed to be as leaders. Tell them the truth. Tell them that you can't pay for everything. This is the budget you get from taxes. This is what we have to live within. Now let's decide as a country how we want to set up our budget. Be honest with them. Tell them the threats they face. Tell them the choices they have to make. Give it to your citizens and hash it out in your legislatures like you're supposed to. In town hall meetings inside your cities. You're supposed to be democratic, right? Supposed to be. That's how you do it in a democracy. You have a free exchange of ideas, and you may not like how I say something or what I say, but that's okay. You don't have to, and I don't have to like what you say or how you say something, but you have every right to say it. And if you're not trying to physically attack me, say whatever you want. You have that right as a human being. It's your God-given right as a human being. You get out there and you say what you want. You stand on your 2 feet and you be honest with yourself first. Because if you're not honest with yourself, you can't be honest with anybody else. And that's just how that is. But you just got to be honest with yourself and with everybody else and tell them the truth. And they may not like it. It's all right. You'll get by. You'll learn to live with each other better, and you'll be more honest. And you'll feel better about yourselves because you were honest. You stood up for what you believed in. You'll grow some confidence. And you'll look at each other with respect because you can let each other talk to each other and it's respectful. And you care about what the other person, you actually care about what they think. You show empathy and compassion. And you learn how to do it better and not hide things. So when you hide things, you're lying. You're not being honest. That's what that little bureaucrat that tried to threaten Elon Musk over there. I don't remember the name. I read it earlier today. That's a petty little man. Can't take the truth. Can't take somebody disagreeing with you. Take your panties off and put on your underwear, buddy. Grow up. Stand up and have some cojones about you. Get a little bass in your voice. Stand up, be an adult. Be an adult. Just be an adult. Be honest. It'll be scary at first, but you'll get over it. You'll learn to deal with it. You face your fears, you get over them. This rant, I know, I don't usually talk this way. I'm just fed up. Fed up. I don't mind as an American helping anybody. We are the most generous country in the world. When people need us, we show up and we show out. We're always there. Either as a government sending our troops in for humanitarian missions, or people like Samaritan's Purse and the Red Cross and others are showing up and distributing aid and making sure people have wells dug, or they need moldy drywall taken down out of their house after a flood or something. They're there. They show up. Even when we have a disasters of our own, we're trying to take care of here, like in North Carolina still, or out in California, recovering from those wildfires. We're still going to show up. As Americans, we care about what happens to you, but we're not compromising who and what we are for you. We won't do that. That's what our Constitution means to us, that Bill of Rights. We will die for those things. Freedom of church, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom against unreasonable searches and seizures, freedom against self-incrimination. We will fight and we will die for those things. That's our heritage as an American. And we will fight and die for those things. The right to keep and bear arms so that we can protect the other rights from our own government. That's why it was instituted. That's why that amendment's in our Constitution. Because as Jefferson said, and I'm not advocating for this right now, just understand that. Don't try to lie and say I am. But from time to time, the tree of liberty, the roots of the tree of liberty need to be renewed by the shedding of blood of the patriots. That time may come again. We may be called to defend our country somehow, some way, but we'll be there. From the time you're old enough to pick up a gun till you die, as an American, you'll be on that hill, ready to take on the world for those Bill of Rights, that Constitution. It's not to a political party. I don't have an affiliation to a political party. To be honest, I don't believe in them. I believe they exist, but I don't believe there should be. Our forefathers warned us against that because you care more about your party than you do your country. And the Constitution, whenever you take office in the country or you join the military, you swear to protect and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It was time we had a president that stood up for the United States of America, put us first. I don't mind engaging in the public. We don't want to do that. We want to have trade deals with everybody. We want free trade. We want equal trade deals. And we can compete. We don't mind competing. We're taught to compete from the time we're born here in the United States. That's just part of it. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. There's always someone bigger, faster, stronger, and smarter. And you just got to pick yourself up after you get knocked down and say, okay, let's go. I learned. I learned a little something. I bought myself some education. Let's go. That's the way you got to look at it. That's what Americans do. That's what we're supposed to do. That's how we succeed, is keep trying. You get knocked down 9 times, you get up 10. And you move forward. And if you want to mollycoddle people like Hamas, who think that rape and murder and torture are legitimate tactics of war, not here, buddy. We protect ours, and Israel protects theirs. Hamas needs to go away, and the Palestinian people need to have a real free choice to figure out what they want to do. Right now, there cannot be a two-state solution. The Palestinians have proven they can't handle that responsibility. They've proven that. So no. I think Israel would be happy to open the door to peaceful Palestinians who want to just live freely, coexist, find a way to get along in the same country. But no two-state solution. They've proven they can't handle the responsibility. And Hamas needs to disappear, as does Hezbollah. They're nothing but terrorist organizations. Period. That's what they are. And if you love them so bad, take them into your country. Go ahead. See how they do you. Jordan's tried that. Ask Jordan how that went for them. That's what they did to the current king's father. Go back in your history and look that up. And Iran, they can never be allowed a nuclear weapon. They can never be allowed a nuclear weapon. Ever. They've proven they can't handle that responsibility either. They export terror and violence to every other country in their area. They've proven that by their actions. Actions speak louder than words. If you've proven you can't handle something, you shouldn't have it. They should be free. Iran should be a free country to do what they want, but they're a dictatorship. They're a theocracy. They're not a democracy. They're a theocracy dictatorship. That's just the truth. You can deal with it what you want. It's what they're setting up in the new president of Syria. Probably going to wind up that way too. A theocracy. You can call it Islamic Republic for all you want, but it'll be a theocracy. The mullahs will run that thing. And, hey, that's your right. You have the right to set that up if you want. But the rest of us have the right to set up boundaries that we won't allow anybody to trespass. If you choose to trespass them, you do it at your own risk. And that's just truth. Deal with it how you want. That's what you have to understand. But those are the facts. As this old Marine, no longer on active duty. This is what I think. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to like it. None of that. You don't have to listen. But it's my thought, and I think talking to people, and that Marine I talked to today, he's a Marine. Didn't matter his ethnicity, but it was different than mine. He's happy the adults are now back in charge in the White House. He's tasted war. He's tasted combat. He knows what it's like. Ain't another American boy, woman, or man dying somewhere else for somebody else's mistakes because you didn't understand the world around you and you chose to recklessly put the rest of the world at risk because you wanted something. No World War III. None. Our most important commodity, treasure in this country is our men and women, our Americans. Regardless of their ethnicity, they're Americans. And we. Those are our fellow Marines, sailors, airmen, soldiers, guardians, coasties, whatever they're, sailors, whatever it is. They don't go there and die. Not anymore. We're tired of it. We are not the world's mercenary force. We are not there to pull your bacon out of the fire because you can't make good decisions or protect yourself. We'll be there with you if you want someone to walk beside you. Put their shoulders around each other, arms around each other's shoulders, and stand firm together. We'll do that with you. But it's time you stood up on your own. Start being honest about your budgets, what you got to pay for, what your responsibilities are as leaders. And take care of it. Period. You'll all have to make tough choices, which we've been making over here. You may not have cradle to grave a welfare state anymore. That may be the cost, the sacrifice you have to make. You may not have an NHS anymore. It sounds like it's going bad in England anyway. Waiting periods, all that kind of stuff that y'all are going through. But it's time you stood up, made the hard choices, was honest with yourself. Look in the mirror, look at yourself in the mirror, make the choices you need to make. Be honest with yourself. Do what you got to do. Make it right. Make it right. That's all I got right now, but y'all have a great day, and please go out and have a wonderful evening the rest of the night. And just think about what I said. And I do represent quite a bit American. I think I'm pretty on target for all of us who voted for President Trump. We ain't playing this stupid game anymore. Y'all have a great evening.